Hello, Algebra 1 students. This is Mr. Schussler. Welcome to our lesson on equations. Just a reminder, our lesson objectives today. We're going to be solving equations with one variable and solving equations with two variables. So make sure that it's in your notebook. As you remember from the first lesson, I talked about the language of math and how it is its own sort of language. We're going to be continuing on with that theme today. Today we are going to be learning about, first, an open sentence and what that means. So an open sentence is a mathematical statement that contains an algebraic expressions and symbols. Now let's stop and think. Recall what we learned about expressions in lesson 1. So go back through your notes and look at that. So we're going to be building on our knowledge of expressions today. So here we have an expression. An expression does not contain an equal sign. So in order for an expression to be part of an equation, it has an equal sign. So you can think of it like this. We have an equation here. This is an equation. This whole thing is an equation. An equation is combined of two equal expressions. So we have an expression here and we have an expression here. So when two expressions equal each other, we have an equation. And we can take a step further. A term is one part of an expression. So this is a term. This is a term. So those are terms in an expression that when all combined together create an equation. So you can think of it as from larger to smaller, we have an equation that is made up of expressions, and we have expressions that are made up of terms. So now that we understand the vocabulary of an equation, an expression, and a term, we can go about figuring out how to solve an equation. And how we solve an equation is by finding a value for a variable that makes the sentence true. And the replacement value is called the solution. So that value is a solution. Next, I want to briefly touch on what is called a replacement set. So a replacement set is a set of numbers for which replacements for a variable may be chosen. And first, what is a set? A set is a collection of objects or numbers that is shown using braces. And braces is a fancy math term for the squiggly bracket. So we would have 5, 8, 13, 21. This could be a replacement set. If you are still confused about this, don't worry, I will go through a problem using a replacement set later on. So go ahead and check your understanding here first. So first we have new vocabulary. All open sentences are equations. Is that true or false? Well, let's recall that a mathematical statement that contains an algebraic expression and a symbol is an open sentence. But that does not mean that all open sentences are equations, because equations must have an equal sign. Next, let us label the table. So go ahead and label the element table with the correct terms. First we have equation. Where does an equation go? Equation goes up here. The replacement set. This is our replacement set here. This could also be written and then our solution. You'll notice that there's only one solution for this equation, and that is where it's true. So we can solve this equation by plugging in values from our replacement set to find out which makes the equation true. So our solution set is all of the values from our replacement set that make the equation true. So in this case, 3 is our solution set. On your own, consider the vocabulary link. So in mathematics, sets are collections of objects or numbers. Sets can also be illustrated by real-world examples, like a chess set. So in your notes, write another example of a real-world set. Here we have an example. So we are going to find the solution set of the equation 2p plus 5 equals 13 if the replacement set is 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So I've filled this out. I'd like you to fill out a table like this in your notes. So we have our variable first. Then we have our equation. And finally, if it's true or false. So here we see 2 times, if we set p is equal to 2, 2 times 2 is 4 plus 5. Obviously, this is false. Next, we have 2 times 3 plus 5, which is 10, which is false. 2 times 4 plus 5 is 13, so this is true. We see that these are false, false. In your notes, go ahead and write down the solution set. Did you come up with this? Moving on, let's try to solve an equation with 2 variables. So this example, we have Mr. Schuessler pays $78 Hong Kong each month for Netflix. He also rents movies from Apple for $50 per title. Write and solve an equation to find the total amount Mr. Schuessler spends this month if he rents 5 movies from Apple. So go ahead and try this in your notes. Now let's solve this together. So first we have, let's find our information here. Mr. Schuessler pays $70 each month for Netflix, or $78. So that is a flat rate. So each month, we'll use T as our total price. $78 for Netflix. But then he also rents from Apple for $50 per title. So on top of that, we have to add $50, but it's not a set amount, it's $50 per title. So we need to add a variable in here. I'm going to use T. Now we can move on to solving this equation. Since we know that Mr. Schuessler rented 5 movies, we can put 5 equals T. Now we can rewrite our equation. t is equal to $78 plus $50 multiplied by 5, which comes out to $328 per month. Remember to square your answer. Now let's do one more example here. Remember to use order of operations when solving this. So go ahead and try this first in your notebook. Now that you've tried it, I will walk us through it. So I'm going to start with the left-hand side, and then I'm going to do the right-hand side. So left-hand side, we have our parentheses. Remember, parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction. So we're going to do our parentheses first. So 2 times 5, we get 10 plus c cubed over 3. Now, since I don't know what c is, I'm just going to leave the left-hand side and solve for the right-hand side now. So we're going to get, again, we're going to do our parentheses first. So we're going to have c divided by 1 to the 5th. Now remember, what is 1 to the 5th? It's 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 times 1, which equals 1. 1 plus 2 is equal to 3 plus 10. Now if we rearrange this equation, we find that it equals c squared over 3 plus 10. So in this case, both sides equal each other, and it doesn't matter what value we put in for c. Sorry, this should be c cubed. So we have 10 plus c cubed divided by 3. So we can say the solution for this equation is all real numbers, which is equal in fancy math language. This represents all real numbers. So C can equal all real numbers. Remember, if you have any questions, please rewatch the video or talk to Mr. Schussler in the Zoom call. And this is all I have for today. So we are going to now work on homework. Your homework or classwork is found on PowerSchool Learning. So please go to the correct day on PowerSchool Learning and open up your online textbook and complete the classwork in your notebook. Make sure to use proper notebook etiquette and circling your answers using 1 question per line and showing all of your work. Thanks for watching.